strangers. Believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf.
Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to replace the air filter and spark plugs of my Benelli TRK 502, part of the 12,000 kilometer service that includes oil and oil filter as well. So here it is, the original oil filter, the NGK spark plugs, 2 of them, and the air filter, also original from Benelli. And 3 liters of putoline oil, 100% synthetic. This oil recently has been improved, so this is now a SN oil. Okay, first step, remove both seats. Passenger is, you need to use the key and then pull it off. The front seat, you need to remove the 2 bolts right here. They are 10mm bolts. It is a good idea to organize your bolts in a safe place, so later when you assemble everything you will know which bolts are for the place they belong. These are my tank bag straps, if you're wondering. Okay, step 2, you need to remove the 2 bolts of the fuel tank cover using an X key. There is 1 bolt on each side, one here, and the other one is over here. Here it is. The top one. These usually are really tight. If you need to use a good tool to remove them. Since the TRK has a fuel tank plastic cover, you need to remove a lot of bolts to get to the tank itself. But it's not hard. Just a little patience and we will get there. Just remember to organize the bolts. Alright, there are 3 more bolts in the side panel you need to remove using the same X tool. There are a few more practical X tool to use that the one I'm using today, but this is the only one I got. It's just a little bit slower, but it's okay. I'm using this little tube to help to increase the torque of the wrench of the tool. If the bolts don't come out, just hit the plastic with your hand, it will help them come out. It is interesting to know that after all these kilometers, the bike is over 12,000 kilometers now, all these bolts still are tightened, so that's a good sign. Okay, so you need to remove these two bolts inside. There are also eggs bolts. I think these bolts in the US are known as Allen keys. It is funny to remember that on my old Honda Hornet, to remove the fuel tank, there were just two bolts, so I could lift the fuel tank in just 30 seconds. Okay, so next I'm going to remove the side panel on the left. You don't really need to remove this panel to access the fuel tank, but I want to check out the wires behind this panel. But I repeat, you don't have to remove the side panels to get to the fuel tank. Okay, here it is, the side panel. So next, you need to remove the two side bolts of the tank cover itself, one each side, same X key, X bolt. These black side covers I'm holding with my hand now, you must be careful because they connect to the tank with a ridge. You need to pull them forward so they click out of this ridge, and then you can remove up the fuel tank cover. Remember, do not force the plastic or you may break it. Alright, that's the two bolts. After all this is removed, you just pull the tank cover up and it will come real easy. Like so. Make sure you put it on the fuel tank on a safe spot because you might scratch it, of course. Okay, you have two more bolts to remove. We're going to start removing the fuel tank itself now. Also an X key, 8mm, I think. These are also really tight, so I'm using my little friend the tube to give the wrench more torque. Oh, by the way, be careful. Do not let the bolts slip from your hands, or they might end up falling into the inside of the frame of the bike, and it will be very hard to pick them up again. Okay, on the top you have two more bolts, 10mm ones. You also need to remove those. These are also very tight, but this tool is better. And faster. Oh, pro tip, don't forget to do this with really low fuel quantity on your tank. Don't do this with a full 20-liter tank, because it will be very heavy and you're probably gonna spill a lot of fuel. So the less fuel you have on it, the better. Okay, you can see, you can lift the tank up. You cannot remove it because you have all the sensors and the fuel line still connected. Use a wood stick or something to allow the fuel tank to stay lifted. Here we go. Be careful, don't let the tank fall and hit your hands, it will hurt you. Let's remove the air temperature sensor here. This bolt is a Phillips key. It is securing the wiring. So you need to remove it. This part here on the top is the vibration rubber. I'm holding it with my hand. Pull the fuel tank a little bit backwards so you can access the two bolts in the front, because you're going to remove the air box now. You have two bolts, one of each side again, holding the air box to the frame. Since we're going to change the spark plugs, you need to remove the air box where the air filter is. It's always good to remove the fuel tank because you have a lot more space to work, and it's not that hard. Of course, the first time you do it, it's always a bit harder because you don't know where the things are. That's the reason I'm sharing this video also, to assist those of you who want to do this at home. Okay, so let's hold the fuel tank up again. Be careful, it's not fixed now on the top, so it will slide a lot. There it is. The airbox. Let's remove the sensor wiring and the fuel line. The fuel line is gonna slip. You just need to press the two buttons, little buttons on the fuel connector. It will spill a little of fuel, but not much. Remember, the fuel filter has a few gasoline inside, but no problem. So remove all the electrical plugs. You can lower the fuel tank now, because on the top there are two more tubes, fuel breathers, that you need to remove. So one, just pull, easily comes off, but be careful not to cut it out. On the other side you need to use pliers to remove the tube, because it has a little connector. After that, grab under each side of the tank and you could pull it off. Be careful not to damage the fuel line and electrical wires when you pull it on the floor. After that, you just need to remove these two little side panels, 1 bolt each. So you can access the big airbox connectors on the inside. To remove the big connectors, you need a Phillips key. Then pull up and it will come off real easy. There are two, one for each cylinder. You can see here, these are the little connectors that secure the box to the air intake of the engine. Okay, just put the airbox to the side for now. And we have access to the top of the engine. Okay, use an 8mm key here that hold in place the spark plug coils. On some bikes, this metal piece that holds onto the coils vibrates and makes some noise. So if you need to put some anti-heat rubber or something to tighten the things together. You can remove the coils to the side, both of them. They were a little loose, I guess it's like that. You have now access to the spark plugs. Now you need a spark plug wrench. So you can remove the spark plugs themselves. They were not too tight as it should be. Spark plugs are not meant to be over tightened. It is dangerous, it could ruin the head of the engine. Remember that when you tighten the plugs again. Alright. Next step, you can use a magnet tool or a long pliers so you can grab the spark plugs and remove them. Here's one. Looks like it's a little bit worn. Well, it's over 12,000 kilometers, and this steel would last a few more thousand kilometers, but since I'm changing the air filter, let's do both things. You can see here, it's a little bit worn. The color is not too bad. I only use premium fuel, so that should help. Although I ride slowly, so it's not good to keep the engine clean to ride at low RPM for many miles, for many kilometers. Well, but at least my exhaust is clean as well. You can see here the new one, all shiny, looks good. Let's put it back in. Japanese NGK spark plugs. Okay, grab the pliers. Slowly, don't let them fall inside. Slowly put it on the hole. No fun intended. That was what she said, but well. Then grab the wrench again. Make sure they are well centered before. Don't ruin the thread of the head. If you don't have a torque wrench, you need to tighten the spark plugs to the same point that they were before. Do not over tighten the spark plugs, or don't leave them too loose. This is really easy to do, just take your time, don't be nervous, and it will all be fine. Alright, for number 2 now. By the way, I took the opportunity to check out the air intake, the valves, and they are still really clean, and that's really good. Alright, they are tightened the same way. So next we put the coils back in the same place. And the earth wires onto the bolt as well. With the bracket, of course, the bracket that secures the coils themselves. If you have, you can use a little bolt glue to make sure the bolt stays with all those vibrations. If you don't, just tighten it really good and it will be fine. because it has a little washer that prevents the bolt to unscrew. Make sure you don't break the earth wires. So, put the airbox back into its place. I'm going to take the opportunity to lubricate the intake box seal with ptfe spray, and also the accelerator cables and actuator. Let's put the light here so it's not on your hitting the camera, and let's put the airbox back into place. It is very important that the airbox is on the right place, so those connectors to the air intake, they must be all well secured. But for now, let's remove the rest of the Phillips bolts so we can have access to the air filter itself. Once again, make sure you don't let any of the screws to fall, because if they do, you will have trouble to get them back. On my old Honda, once I left a screw fall to the frame, and I think it's still there. I never was able to remove it. Oh, don't forget the middle screw as well, also a Phillips. It is a little dirty, that's why I'm using the light to check out, but it's still there. Here we go. It comes off really easy. Make sure you don't lose the bolt once more. The air filter is very simple. It's just some kind of rubberized filter. It has a little cover to protect it. It comes off really easy. Remove the old filter and put the new one back in. This is the old one. It is a little dirty. And the new one. Remove this little thing on the middle, and you can put it back on its place. Put the cover on the same place. And that's it. Just simple as that. Yeah, it is a little dirty. 12,000 kilometers plus. Let's put the cover back in and all the screws. It is very important to make sure the airbox to air intake connectors or clamps are secured very well. So if you look from the sides of the bike, you can make sure that they are in the right place and then tighten them up. You can see here the clamp, the air intake clamp right there, and I'm putting my finger. If you are wondering, that little LED light is my alarm system. So sorry about hitting the camera with it. From this point forward, you just need to reverse the job you did to disassemble. So you need to tighten everything up and put everything that you removed back together. One tip is that since you have disconnected the fuel line, the next time you start the bike, you should let the bike fill up the fuel filter first before hitting the start button. You can do that by turning the bike on and wait for 5 seconds at least. Okay, just connect all the electric wiring. Just reverse everything you did before. Connect the plugs. Make sure they are connected well. And if you think it's better, use the wood stick again to hold everything up. It's a lot more easy to work when you have both of your hands free. Make sure the rubber that holds the tank is on the place, and all the wires and the fuel filter are free from being stuck. Alright, so just put all the bolts inside, all the bolts together, and the breathing tubes as well, and tighten everything up. As you can see, it's not very hard to do these kind of services. You just need a little time and patience. I actually love to work on my own bikes. It even helps me relax a bit. Well, when everything goes good, of course. I hope this video has helped all of you TRK owners that like to do services at home. It was my intention to share my experience with you all. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.